Hello, this is Solomon Davis, Right Side Trader. Today is March 25th, 2023. This is my weekly market review where I'm going to be reviewing the Russell 2000 on a daily chart, weekly chart, monthly chart, and a quarterly chart. This is all just to give you an insight of my opinion of what I see going on in the market. Let's just jump right over to the charts and see what's going on. The Russell is one of those products that kind of goes sideways. I remember, a couple of years ago, it was going sideways. It had got up in a range and it's going sideways. This year, it kind of dropped down in a range, and it dropped, and then it kind of just started going sideways. It was a larger range than it was that previous year, and it's continuing this year to continue to go sideways. Just kind of giving us a view of the big picture here. All right, so let's go ahead and take a quick look and zoom on in here and look at the details to see what's going on. As you can see, the Russell. Let's go ahead and jump down to the quarterly chart. We are kind of going, like I said, we're in that sideways thing, and we're at the bottom of the range of the sideways thing. Kind of like quick summary, but let's look at the details and see what's happening here. Here I have. Should be a 10 moving average and a 50 moving average with yearly pivots. It's the way I like setting up this quarterly chart. So I'm going to go ahead and maximize this. Uh-oh. I put the wrong thing in there. Let me RUT. Uh-oh. What just happened there? RUT. Boom. And it all comes back. Let's maximize this. Let's just kind of like see what's going on here on this quarter. We've kind of turned red. Was thinking we was going to get above this 10 on the quarter where we would really be bullish and all. The stochastic has been hanging out to the high side. Hasn't come all the way down like we would like to see it come down and then come back to the top. It's kind of, like I say, it's stuck in this range, but it's a pretty large range. That's the whole thing with the Russell this year. It has dropped down, and it just can't break these. It broke this pivot high and looked like it's got a higher low and a higher high, like it wanted to go higher, but it just hasn't done it yet. It hasn't continued on. We have to wait until the next quarter to see what actually happens. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the monthly chart. And as you can see, this is that sideways action. This is that drop in the sideways action that we're in right now. Let's zoom in. But one of my things is above pivot, stay above pivot. They kind of went up here, and it's forming a evening star right now. So what we got to be careful about, we got some bottoms here and all that this thing that's been acting as support. This range down here is a range down here that I have on some of my other charts. I'll show that. I'll show that right now. Let me just pop IWM in here. Oh, this is it's not on. Let me see if I got it on IWM. This is my on here. I got it on the top side, and on the other one I got it on the bottom side. But as you can see, there's a range down here. Let me just try to duplicate these lines right quick. Duplicate, and let me bring one down here. I like to have it at the body of one of the lows like that, and then let me duplicate. I can just duplicate this one right here. Duplicate this line right here, and I can bring it up. I like to bring it up to about right here. What I'm doing is it doesn't have to be exact in my world. I got these lows, and I want to, and this low here is kind of like I don't need to be exactly at the bottom, but I want to kind of be at the bottom of these bodies right here, and I'll to see where things are at, and all. So this is where I'm at on this particular one, and I usually let me do something else that I like doing. See if I can do this. I like bringing this and see if I can do it like that. Nah, it's not going to work the way I want it to work, but that's okay. But we got a range down here that it's going to be in, and I like, you can draw it how you want. Some people like going all the way to the low, to the lowest low that you have in the range, and to the lowest body that you have in the range. It's maybe a better way of actually doing it. But I'm always want to get an early alert to let me know. Always, if I'm actually selling stuff below this level, I also want to have an early alert, because my alert to be somewhere in these areas also. So, and my sales to be actually below these areas. But that's what I just want to set that up and let you kind of like see right now. We got an evening star. We kind of went down and touched the bottom of this range, which is the bottom of this last candle right here. Body of this last candle. It's close enough for me, and we bounced out of here. The thing is, will we get confirmation of this bearish looking part thing right here and actually go lower and maybe come down to the support level on this quarterly pivot on this monthly chart and see what happens. The other thing is here, this is our 10. This is our 10 moving average. And our 10 moving average, the Russell was the one that was kind of looking like it had got above the 10, was first one to get above the 10, then it came back below the 10, then it went back above the 10, then it kind of stayed above the 10 and created this doji up here, and now we're back below the 10. So that's the thing with the Russell. The Russell is one of these ones that tends to go sideways and don't make you any money unless you just play the tops to the bottom and the bottoms to the top, and once they get into these range. And there's different strategies that you can play that like that with, and all. So that's what I'm seeing there on the Russell. That's the big thing that's going on the Russell that I see. One of the things, I zoom in here a little bit here on this weekly chart, and where you can see one of the other things that I thought was kind of significant on the Russell. These are monthly pivots, and on the monthly pivot, we came down to a support 3 level. We saw this last week, not this week, right? This week we actually came down and went below it. Like I said, maybe that could happen. I had mentioned last week on my video, on my review, that we could go below it and then bounce back up, and then we might be able to take off. But we was just a little bit above it at that last week when I was looking at, and I say very seldom that it actually goes below this S3 level. And I was showing you other places in the market where you don't see it go below this point too often. If it goes below it, it usually comes right back up and then end up going higher. So right now, on the weekly chart, actually seeing the beginning of what could be a morning star. It can be more than just 3 candles. It can be 4 candles, 5 candles. We might get a couple more dojis before this thing turns and head back up, just like what we did over here before, where it came down, gave you a doji, gave you another weak doji, then it all of a sudden started turning around and ready to go back up. And that's what would happen over here when it came down to here to this area. It gave you a doji, gave you another doji with a higher high and with a higher low and a higher high, and then this low right here kind of got us kind of concerned. It gave us a lower low and a lower high, but then the next week we actually got a green candle, and this thing looked like it was ready to go, and it did end up taking off. So that's what we're going to be looking at here on this weekly, on the next couple of weeks in here. And we're at the end of March, and at the end of March, our stochastic is just about at the bottom. And also, we might have another week of this thing going sideways, or maybe even dropping a little bit more before it actually turns around and go higher. That's what I'm seeing. I don't know if it's going to, again, nobody knows if this thing is going to actually break these bottoms and end up making a new lower low, and we start with another leg to the downside. Just don't know. Right now, it's probably really easy to sell something above the market, and give you not give yourself too much time on those if you're doing any options like that. But and it could be okay selling something below the market, but you'll be selling way down here somewhere, on any of those spreads that you may be doing. And again, not giving yourself too much time, because this market, it did a crazy thing this a couple of weeks ago when it did this big drop here. It kind of got me caught up in some stuff. But again, you just learn to manage your trades. You just hold on and let them play out. And that's what I'm trying to do right now. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the daily chart. And again, you can see that sideways action, sideways action, a little bit bigger. I just put these lows in. These highs, I should actually move up a little bit higher. Yes, and I should. It's up a little bit higher, because I do have. Let me do that right now while I'm thinking about it. This is in the virtual account, so on my actual in the live side, it's actually probably a little bit different. And I usually like doing these off of the weekly candles. Let me remove that drawing and let me actually activate this one. And just move it up a little bit like that. But let's just take a quick look here what's been happening this past week. We were going sideways. We tried to go up, and then we ended up getting, again, on I guess we had that FOMC call this week, and that was that Wednesday after the FOMC call was really kind of what we're seeing. And then the following day, we actually ended up going down lower. And then on Friday, we went down even lower. We made a lower low and a lower high, but we ended up turning around, turning green. So now we got to wait and see what's going to happen Monday. But on Monday, I'm looking at we may start off below pivot. If we start off below pivot, I expect us to probably end up the week below pivot because these are weekly candles. And as you can see, below pivot, stay below pivot. Here we kind of open up just below pivot. It did give us a breakout, fake out, but it ended up the week below pivot. And this is what I see a lot in the market. So we've got to kind of like wait and see what happens here on Sunday night. See if this thing can open up above pivot and then stay above pivot and end up going higher. But if it ends up opening below pivot, it might end up going lower and making some lower lows and get down here in this range here. And this is IWM that I'm looking at. So that's all I really want to share on this. Let me just go back to my weekly chart, and I want to look at these lines that I just put on here. I'm kind of okay with that. It kind of goes with these two previous highs, and I'm okay with that. Again, it doesn't matter to me how, like before I went with bodies here. This time look like I'm going with wicks here. I just need to know where the high of the market is, and I just need to know where the low of the market is. Those are usually just going to be my alerts. If I'm doing any kind of trading, I need to be outside of those things, way outside of those things. Because again, I'll probably be looking at this high back here, and I'll probably be looking at these lows down here to have anything in the market. Although, like I said, I did get caught up in one, and I got one on that's in bad shape right now, but I'm managing it. That's all I really want to share. Hope this has been helpful. Hope you can get to see what's actually happening here in the market on the Russell, and trade accordingly. Guys, hope you have a great weekend. I'll talk to you next week. Bye.